What happens when Tucker Carlson gets challenged for his views live on air by college students? Well, I'll give you a hint. It doesn't end well for one of them. The one it doesn't go well for, well, I'll let you guess that part. Nevertheless, today we are going to watch Tucker Carlson completely dismantle college students live on TV. Let's just jump right into it. Unfortunately, Tucker Carlson doesn't debate too much nowadays, ever since he left Fox. He mostly just does podcasts with interesting guests sharing their views. However, unfortunately for this college student, 7 years ago, Tucker did no such podcasts and would ruthlessly debate people live. And on this day, right after the election, college students were protesting Trump due to the fact that he didn't have enough sympathy for undocumented people in the US. Tucker absolutely tears him to shreds. Roll it.
So anybody who wants to come should come. Now, most of those people who do come, the low-skill ones, are a net cost to taxpayers. They take more in services than they produce. You know the decline, you know the basic economic laws. So you believe then that taxpayers have a moral obligation to subsidize anybody who wants to come here?
I'm not sure where you're getting those figures from. I've heard different figures. I've heard studies that say that undocumented immigrants actually provide a net benefit to the economy. And a lot of these studies that claim that undocumented immigrants are a drain or taking money away from taxpayers or something like that are using kind of biased
yeah. Well, you heard wrong, because it's not even close between education and infrastructure and healthcare, food subsidies, housing subsidies. It's literally not even close.
One of the most liked comments under this video was, in quotes, "I see what people mean when they say kids are coming out of college dumber than when they went in." I mean, when Tucker asked the student what he thought about everyone already in the US having to basically financially support these people with our taxes, the student basically said that it's not true, and it actually goes the other way, which kind of just proves this point. And Tucker was very vocal about telling the student he was wrong too, which was hilarious. However, don't worry, because this clip gets a lot better, believe it or not. Tucker Carlson leaves the student absolutely stumped and stumbling for words after a simple analogy. Check this out.
Do you think people have a right to lock their doors? Or do you think they have an obligation to let anyone in who chooses to come? Well, you're saying that the United States has no right to prevent people who want to come here from coming here. And I'm just asking you, does the same apply to us as individuals? Do you have a right to keep people out who want to share your apartment with you?
I think that's not really a direct analogy. That obviously a nation state, a sovereign nation state, is very different from an individual.
Well, it belongs to its citizens, so they should be able to decide who comes in or out. Wouldn't you agree? Doesn't the country belong to its citizens?
I think that there are certain things.
I think you need to think this through, Alex.
Slavery was a democratic.
Right. Okay. Throw the slavery.
Was a democratic.
Let me ask you this. I know that you're a liberal, a radical, lefty. I wonder if it ever occurs to you that you're maybe doing the bidding of business when you advocate for low-skilled workers to come here. Why do you think people support a lot of low-skilled labor in this country? Because it lowers wages. It lowers their labor costs. It makes them more money. Do you realize that you're part of that?
Poor kid. That is all I have to say, because realistically, everyone on any side politically believes in what they think is right. However, it just so happens that a lot of people are uninformed and don't think through what they say. And I think this was the case for this student. I think his intentions were good and pure, but his facts weren't. Nevertheless, let's take a look at another student getting absolutely run over by Tucker Carlson. This college student from the University of Chicago was protesting against letting a, in quotes, Trump supporter, White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer from speaking on campus. The student went as far as to saying he was going to projectile vomit on him. And no, I am not joking. Apparently the student is for free speech, but also protests against someone speaking. So Tucker made sure to check him on this. Roll it.
Therefore, he shouldn't be allowed to talk. There seems an irony in that. He's against freedom of speech, so you don't let him talk? How does that work?
Sure. So what I was saying was not that he shouldn't be allowed to talk. Rather, what I was saying was that I, as a student, and yes, it was a joke when I said that I was going to projectile vomit on him, although I'm glad that I made it, because now I get to explain what I meant to you. So what I meant was that I, as a student, and my peers should be allowed to respond to his presence on my campus in ways that aren't just civil or decorous and don't involve just sort of standing up after the event and asking him a question. Although I never said he should be disinvited, and I never said he shouldn't be allowed to talk.
But in ways that involve force. I mean, it sounds like. I mean, so when you say we should be allowed to respond, how about the traditional path, which is to make a counter case? You disagree with what he stands for, which is, of course, fine. And you say, this is what I stand for, and may the best man win. You don't believe in that, it seems like.
Don't worry, this interview is only heating up. But it really just goes to show that the younger generations that are coming through college are brainwashed into thinking that anyone that thinks differently from them should not be allowed to speak at all, which just goes against basic amendments in this country. I also find it surprising how quickly they want to move to force and violence. In this case, it was a joke, but still, I don't know why they moved to malicious things before just having a basic discussion. It really goes to show what mainstream media is pushing on impressionable young adults. One commenter that had almost 3,000 likes said this, in quotes, "My generation will start a revolution." No, your generation can't start a lawnmower. Very sad, but true. Nevertheless, this interview is only getting good. Tucker asked the student about the Paris Climate Agreement, and the student starts stumbling over his words, and Tucker calls him out for it, and then things go nuts. Roll it.
Like, what about the Paris climate agreement do you like so much?
So if America were not to participate in this climate accord, carbon levels would rise so much in the world that it would sort of push past the point where we can bring it back down in a safe or efficient way.
That suggests you know nothing about it. But let me just ask you this: don't you
Tucker,
think?
just because I don't have the numbers on it doesn't mean I don't know anything about
I'm saying, look, if you're gonna, look, here's my point: is that you're the editor of a weekly paper. People listen to you. And rather than explain, here's why you ought to support the Paris Climate Agreement, your position is, if you don't believe everything I think I believe, even if I have no details, then I'm going to flip your car over. I'm going to vomit on you. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to commit an act of violence. I'm going to beat you up in a supermarket. That's not really debate. That's something dumber,
Tucker,
no?
Tucker, how could I possibly make the case to the Trump administration that he ought not to walk away from the Paris Climate Accords?
I don't know about knowing what it is. I mean, that might help, but don't you think?
What about the...
Tucker absolutely puts the student to sleep. The student was uninformed on the topic, and Tucker Carlson made sure that everyone watching knew that. It was kind of like a wholesome father and son moment when the father proves to the son why he's the father. However, it was live on TV for everyone to see. Poor students. Now that is all I have for you today. If you like this video, make sure to let me know because there are so many other great clips on this topic that I would love to show you guys. So let me know what your thoughts were on this video, and if you have any suggestions, feel free to say them in the comments. So with that all being said, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as it helps out the channel a ton. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.